styled in the interest of Sierra Bull and Cayman Bull children. We will start with announcements.
Emily Reichert, attorney for CPS.
Terry Lynn, CPS caseworker.
Amanda Solomon, attorney for respondent mother Ashley Bull.
Mark Ledbetter, attorney for respondent father Raymond Bull.
April Steele, attorney for respondent father Raymond Bull.
Natalie Paul, attorney ad litem for Bull children.
Dee Casey, CASA advocate.
Now we have the CASA supervisor.
Giselle Aranda, CASA volunteer coordinator.
Thank you. Ms. Reichert, do you want the individuals from your office? I know you have your investigator and then you have Ms. Kimball, the legal liaison. Do you need them on the record or they're just here to assist you?
They're just here to assist me, Your Honor.
Okay, so noted. Mom, state your name. Mom, can you hear us? Where's Miss Solomon? Oh, there you go.
Ashley Bull.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else before I go to my witnesses? I leave off any attorneys? Okay, so my top right box is Officer Wright. If you'll state your name, please.
Charles Wright.
Thank you. Then I have Officer Rogers.
Daniel Rogers.
Thank you. And then my box says iPhone, but I think it's Officer Chang.
Shane Chang.
Thank you. All right, did we leave off anyone for the record? And I know we have some additional witnesses that will be coming in later in the day. Oh, Ms. Young, did Ms. Young announce?
Piana Young, CPS investigator.
Okay, thank you. So witnesses will raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may lower your hands. All right, before we went on the record, the attorneys were discussing some agreements that they may have on exhibits. Ms. Reichert has 87 exhibits. I think she said 50 or 60 of those were certified copies of court orders. And she was asking the other attorneys if there were stipulations on the record as to their admissibility. So, Ms. Solomon, have you agreed to any of those exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor, I agreed to stipulate to all of the certified copies and a few of the other additional exhibits.
Okay, so I need exhibit numbers. So Ms. Reichert, what is she stipulating to? Number 1 through what?
Your Honor, Ms. Solomon sent me an email indicating she is stipulating to state's exhibits number 1 through 64, 68 through 73, and 77 through 81.
And that is correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Steele or Mr. Ledbetter, any stipulations? Is it from Dad?
Yes, Your Honor. We'll stipulate to exhibits 1 through 29, exhibit 31, and I'll stipulate to exhibits 33 through 63. We'll stipulate to exhibits 66 through 73. I'll stipulate to exhibit 75. I'll stipulate to 77 through 82, 84, and 85.
I don't know why I thought y'all were going to make this easy. All right, the ad litem.
I have no objections to stipulating to all of them.
which is Ms. Reichert 1 through 87, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so now I have to, because it's not clean, I have to go through and double check. So,
And Judge, I did send a detailed exhibit list to the court reporter with all of the exhibit numbers and the labels of what those exact exhibits are. I hope that's helpful to everyone.
okay, thank you. So 1 through 29 are admitted. 33 through 63. 68 through 73 are admitted. 77 through 81 are admitted. Y'all need me to repeat that?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, got it. All right, since we are on the Zoom, I'm going to try to take more frequent breaks than we would in the courtroom, just because I know it's hard to sit and look in these boxes for extended periods of time. But the breaks are going to be short, so they'll be more frequent, but it's literally just going to be to get your water, get your coffee, get to the restroom, stretch, and get back. So they're not going to be 15, 20-minute breaks, so we can keep moving through the testimony. All right, any other housekeeping matters? Ms. Steele has already let us know that she may be needing assistance in getting notes to and from her client because she is at the courthouse, but in a side room. Mr. Bull is at the courthouse in the courtroom. All right, anything else before we jump in?
Your Honor.
All right,
No, Your Honor.
thank you. I've asked the state to call the officers out of order so that they can get on, testify, and get back to their duties. And we know with COVID, a lot of the police agencies are shorter staffed because if someone gets COVID, then a lot of those officers aren't able to work. So we don't want to add to any difficulties that they're already working around right now, pandemic. All right. Ms. Riker, you may proceed.
Your Honor, do you want opening statements?
If you wish.
I will keep it very brief, Your Honor. Your Honor, we're here today for a termination trial. The department filed an original petition back on April 18th of 2019, requesting custody of the children, and then amended that petition seeking termination of parental rights earlier this year. The department is requesting that the court find grounds to terminate the parental rights, as well as that the termination is in the children's best interest. Because of the unique circumstances regarding the pandemic, the family has been afforded even more time than the typical CPS case to work their services, mitigate the reasons for removal, and make the changes necessary to provide a safe and stable environment for their children. They have not done so, Your Honor, and I believe the evidence is going to reflect that today. The department is requesting termination of parental rights so that these children can achieve permanency. They've been in care now for 17 months and deserve that permanency, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to present opening?
Briefly, Your Honor. Judge, I believe when you hear the evidence today, it'll be apparent that Mr. Bull has substantially complied with his service plan. You'll also hear that he is strongly bonded to the children, that he does have the means and the ability and the desire to care for them, and that any concerns the department has should be mitigated and this family should be reunified.
Thank you.
Briefly, Your Honor, I represent the respondent mother, Ashley Bull. I would submit to the court that Mrs. Bull is a totally different person than the person who was in front of you in April of 2019. She may not have made as much progress as fast as everyone would have liked, but the progress she has made is significant. Additionally, I think there may be some evidence shown that Mrs. Brown, the maternal grandmother, is still interested in placement, although she is not a party. We would ask the court at the end of the day to consider all the options before the court and not to terminate the mother's parental rights.
Thank you. Yeah, Lidum?
Your Honor, I would just state that when considering all the evidence today and looking at the best interest factors of the children, that it would not be in their best interest to be reunified with their parents, and that I'm in alignment with the state regarding termination of their parental rights.
Thank you. Was the court reporter able to get all of that down?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, and for the record, Mr. Ledbetter and Ms. Steele are attorneys for Dad. Mr. Ledbetter filed a motion to withdraw on what the court considered the eve of trial. I did not grant that motion to withdraw, but based on testimony presented at that hearing, I have appointed Ms. Steele as co-counsel, standby counsel for Mr. Bull as well. So that is why Mr. Ledbetter and Ms. Steele are representing Mr. Bull. All right, we are ready, Ms. Reichert. Oh, does either side invoke the rule? I forgot to ask. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. So the rule has been invoked, so you must wait in our waiting room outside the virtual courtroom until you're called in to testify. While you're in the waiting room, you cannot discuss this case with anyone except for one of the multitude of attorneys in the boxes. If you are speaking to the attorneys, you just have to speak to them privately, not within earshot of another witness. So who's going to be our first officer, and in what order will they be called? Ms. Reichert.
Your Honor, I will call Officer Rogers, and then Officer Chang, and then Officer Wright.
Okay. And let's see, I know Terry Lynn is in one of these boxes. Where she was. Oh, there she is. Okay, so she's going to be your representative that will stay in for the trial?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so Layla, Ms. Lynn will stay in as representative of the department, and Officer Rogers will stay in because he's going first, and then everyone else will go into the waiting room. Okay, you guys help me double check the boxes to make sure we moved everyone to the waiting room that should be in the waiting room. Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Officer Rogers. Will you please state your name for the record and take it off mute too?
Officer Daniel Rogers.
And how are you employed?
With the Plano Police Department.
And how long have you been with Plano PD?
About 3.5 years now.
And did you happen to respond to an incident regarding Mr. Bull, Mr. Raymond Bull, on or about April 6th of 2019?
It was a traffic stop, ma'am. Yes.
And as a result of that traffic stop, was he arrested?
He was.
And were you actually called to testify in a trial regarding Mr. Bull as a result of the charges he was arrested on?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it your understanding that he was convicted of those charges?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me with
you're frozen. If you could repeat the question.
Sorry. With this incident that occurred, or with this stop that occurred on April 6th, what was the nature of the call or of the stop?
The initial violation was an expired license plate.
And whenever you encountered Mr. Bull, was he in the car with anyone else?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
And was he the driver of the car?
He was.
And what was it that Mr. Bull ended up being arrested for that day?
He was initially arrested for possession of drug paraphernalia, and then during a search incident to the arrest, I located a methamphetamine inside a cigarette package. So he was arrested for that as well.
Ms. Reichert, you're frozen.
You indicated Mr. Bull was in the car with someone else. Is that correct?
That's true, ma'am.
And was anything located on the individual that he was in the car with as well?
Yes, she was in possession of a methamphetamine, a marijuana pipe and some marijuana.
You indicated you found drug paraphernalia as well that was in Mr. Bull's possession. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what type of drug paraphernalia did you find?
It was a methamphetamine pipe.
And how did you know it was a methamphetamine pipe?
It was the type, it's a long, trying to hold this up. It's a long cylinder. At the end of it is a ball with a hole in the type of it. And through my training and experience, I've recognized as the type used to smoke methamphetamine.
And the methamphetamine that you found in the car, where did you find that?
It was in a cigarette package, which was located just to the right of the hood over the steering wheel. So if I were driving a car, it would be where my right hand would reach up and place it on the dash.
And approximately how much methamphetamine was in that? Did you find?
2.7 grams.
And we had indicated it was Mr. Bull was convicted of this offense. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
And did you actually testify in a jury trial with respect to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Arrest? And I will pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Solomon.
No questions.
Will it be Mr. Ledbetter or Ms. Still?
It'll be me, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay, so, Officer Rogers, Mr. Bull was the operator of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And you located the methamphetamine in a cigarette pack, you said?
Yes, sir.
And was that towards the center of the vehicle?
It was, as I explained, it's just to the right of the hood over the steering wheel. So further toward the driver's side of the vehicle.
Okay. Now, do you recall what kind of cigarette pack you found the meth in?
I'll have to look over my my report real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can refresh your memory.
Pall Mall cigarettes.
Okay. And you started this by searching Mr. Bull's person, correct?
I believe it was a pat down, yes.
Okay, and you did not find any weapons or contraband on his person. Is that correct?
Correct.
You actually found the meth pipe inside the vehicle, correct?
Correct. It was between the driver's seat cushion and the center seat cushion in the pickup truck.
Okay, and was that within reach of the passenger also?
The entire cab is, yes, sir.
Okay. Did you, as part of your investigation, conduct any standardized field sobriety tests?
I did not.
Okay, did you request a drug recognition evaluation?
I did not.
Okay, is that because you did not observe any signs of intoxication?
Correct. Correct.
I'm sorry, we probably spoke over each other.
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
I had no reason to suspect DWI at that time.
Okay. So Mr. Bull's only charge was for possession, is that correct?
Possession of the paraphernalia and of the methamphetamine, yes.
Okay. Now, there was a jury trial on this case, correct?
Correct.
And the jury found Mr. Bull guilty, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know what the punishment disposition was on that case?
I do not.
Okay. I will pass the witness.
Ms. Paul.
No questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any other questions of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Judge, can we have just a moment to confer with our client before we release the witness?
Yes. Any other questions of this witness?
I have just a moment, Your Honor. Okay. Just a couple of follow-up questions, Judge.
Sure.
Officer, so Raymond was the driver and the passenger was in the front passenger seat, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you testified earlier that basically with the size of the vehicle that either person could have been able to access just about any part of the interior, correct?
It was a pickup truck, I believe a Ford F-150. So yes.
Right. I'll pass the witness.
Any other questions of Officer Rogers?
No, Your Honor.
All right, is he released?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you
Yes,
for
Your
being here. Officer Rogers, you're free to go.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, Layla, if you'll bring in, let's see. The CASA supervisor, is she going to be called as a witness or just a volunteer?
I do not plan on calling her as a witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Layla, you can bring her back in. I think they have a policy. They are present with their volunteer. So the supervisor is not going to be called as a witness. Ms. Casey will be called as a witness, but CASA is a party, so they are permitted to be in the courtroom. And I'm sorry, I just saw that you were in the waiting room, so I apologize. All right, our next witness has been called. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, can you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, ma'am. It's Officer Shane Chang.
And are you with Plano Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been with Plano Police Department?
For over 3.5 years.
And Officer Chang, did you respond to an incident on or about April 15th of 2019 regarding Raymond?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that take place at what was reported to you to be the residence of Raymond and Ashley Bull?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm trying not to get into addresses, although I would typically ask you for an address on this.
Yeah.
What is the nature of the call that the reason why you were called out?
Myself and Officer Oakson responded to the call as a domestic disturbance called in by Ms. Bull.
And was there anything unusual about the call or the caller, what was reported to you?
The caller requested not to be contacted by us.
And when you arrived at the home, what did you observe?
When we arrived, I observed Mr. Bull he was later identified as Mr. Bull. He was getting out of his pickup truck that was parked across the house, and I guess he was carrying his son in his arms. And as we approached, he put him down, and then we began talking to him.
And this son that you talked about, did you find out that child's name?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that Cayman Bull?
Yes.
And tell me, was it just you who initially made contact with Mr. Bull and his son, or were any other officers with you?
I was with Officer Okeson.
And did you notice anything about Mr. Bull or his appearance that was of note to you?
About his appearance, I think when we were walking up, Officer Okeson noticed something in his back pocket. And when I walked up, Okeson kind of pointed out, hey, there's something over there. So I kind of looked over, and Mr. Bull was like, hey, like, why are you checking me out? And then I noticed that there was a pipe in his back pants pocket.
And was Plano Police Department, or were you familiar with this home or with Mr. Bull and his family based on prior calls for service to the residents or regarding this particular family?
I was not at this time, because this is the first time I went to that residence and to talk to them, make contact. So I didn't know about the family yet.
Okay. And you indicated Dad had made a comment, or Mr. Bull had made a comment to you about why are you checking him out? Did you indicate to him why you were checking him out?
I don't remember, because it was within seconds of him saying that. When I kind of looked over and saw the pipe, he just he took off running.
And where was the child whenever he took off running?
He was within a few feet of us.
So he took off running and left the child behind, is that correct?
That's correct.
And was Ashley Bull, the mother, outside or around whenever this was occurring?
I don't recall. I remember because I was focusing on him, but once we got him, we ran about 75 yards and got him in custody. She came out. That was when she started yelling and stuff, and there were other neighbors in the neighborhood, saying what was going on, and that was when I noticed her. Okay. But she was not outside when we initially made contact.
Okay, thank you. And with respect to this child, the child in this case, do you recall about how old he was or how old he appeared to you?
He looked like a toddler to me, I guess, maybe 3 years old or so.
Okay. And you indicated Dad took off running, and then you were able to you were able to detain him. Is that correct? Or he stopped?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you able to determine what it was that was in his back pocket?
Yes, it was a pipe with residue on it.
And was Mr. Bull placed under arrest for possession of drug paraphernalia?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he make any statements to you that were of concern to you regarding drug use by Mr. Bull or by his wife, Ashley Bull?
Yes. So after I placed him in my squad car, and when I was about to head down to the Plano City Jail to begin booking him in, he mentioned multiple drug houses in the area. And this is after I Mirandized him too. I Mirandized him and asked if he wanted to talk, and he said yes. And he said that he said that he worked with our narcotics unit, that he was a CI, I believe, and that he knows a bunch of drunk houses in the area, and he could point them out to me. He just didn't know the exact address of them. So that was kind of.
I'm sorry. The way that he was talking about these drug houses and how he could point them out to you, did that lead you to infer anything, such as if he had been to those homes before?
Yes.
Judge, I'll object.
Otherwise,
The
normally.
question calls for speculation.
Sustained. Rephrase your question.
Yes. The way that Mr. Bull was talking about these homes, did that lead you to make any conclusions about his knowledge?
Yes.
And tell me, what exactly was he saying to you about these houses? You indicated he could not give you the actual addresses, like numeral addresses. Is that correct?
Correct.
Could he describe?
But he said that he could point them out to me, to show me where they were. I don't know his exact wording because I can't remember from over a year ago what he said, and I don't have the video of my body camera or video from the squad car. But
Did you notice anything about Mr. Bull's behavior or his appearance that was of concern to you?
yeah, I would say so. I mean, I didn't smell anything on him, but he had a very rough appearance.
Did you, and you indicated there was a child with him. Did you have concerns about the child's safety or well-being based on the contacts you made in this incident?
Yeah. So the child was pretty. I mean, when we made contact, Mr. Bull was holding his child, and then when we put him down, we were talking. Later, after the arrest, I went to check the truck where he exited from, and there were pills in a bag and I believe a small container inside the vehicle in plain view. And Mr. Bull actually did mention or did say that there was a disturbance between him and his wife, and before officers arrived on scene, he was in the process of destroying some narcotics that she had. But we were already on the way to the jail, so.
So Mr. Bull admitted to you that he was destroying narcotics that had belonged to his wife, Ashley Bull. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he indicate whether or not she was using those drugs?
He did mention that she had a drug problem, yes.
And you indicated there was one pipe on Mr. Bull, and that's kind of how everything got started. Did you end up finding anything else? You mentioned pills as well. Was there anything else that was located during your call?
Yes. So there was the pipe that was in his back pants pocket, and then after myself and Officer Okeson detained him and got him in custody when he took off on us, as we were searching his person, he had another pipe in one of the other pockets.
And did you notice did the pipes look brand new to you, or how did they appear to you?
No, they were, I guess, dirty. They had narcotics residue on it, or what appeared to be narcotics residue.
And based on your training and experience, what did you believe the pipes had been used for, or would be used
to use narcotics?
And you had mentioned after this incident, you became more familiar with the family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have to respond to additional calls at the home or with respect to this family?
Yes, ma'am.
And when were those calls?
I went to that residence again on July, I believe it was mid-July. The call was actually at the post office because there was some kind of a disturbance or something that happened during the day shift, and I was at nights at the time. And it was, I guess, a remodeling company or contractor who had contacted us saying they were requesting a civil standby because of something that happened earlier in the day. and that they were wanting to get inside the residence to get their tools and building supplies or construction supplies.
Was Mr. Bull a part of that call in some way, or what were the concerns with Mr. Bull? How was he associated with the call?
So he was inside in the residence when we went over to try to do the civil standby.
And was there something about his behavior or what was reported to you that was concerning or that would cause a need for police involvement?
Yes. So we were advised, I believe the day shift supervisor called me to kind of give me a heads up of what happened earlier. And then later on, I read the report about he possibly pulled a weapon out and was waving it at.
I didn't hear your objection.
Hearsay, when the officer started quoting the report he read.
Are you offering it for the truth of the matter asserted or to show why he responded to the call?
To show why he responded to the call, Your Honor.
All right, the court will overrule the objection and allow the testimony for that limited purpose only.
Officer Chang, you indicated that the reason why you responded to the call or the reason why you were on alert or made aware of what was going on, what exactly was the reason?
Oh, so I guess I was told that that Mr. Bull had possibly pulled a weapon out and waved it at some people, which were the people that called us for the civil standby. And that's what we responded, and they wanted to get the tools.
All right, I will. Did Mr. Bull indicate to you, admit to any drug usage to your recollection?
The second time or the first time?
Either time.
I don't remember.
I'll pass the witness.
Solomon?
Yes, Your Honor. The initial reason for the call on April 15th was for domestic disturbance. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ever speak with Ashley Bull?
No.
Did you do any investigation into the domestic disturbance?
No, because she didn't want contact.
Okay. Did another officer actually speak with Ms. Bull?
I believe so, but I don't remember when because it was such a cluster at the time. Once we got him custody, we took him.
Okay, I'll pass the
to the
witness.
Plano jail.
Mr. Ledbetter?
Thank you, Judge. Okay, officer, all this occurred in the front yard outside the Bull's residence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said he ran a short distance, and then did he stop or did you catch him?
He stopped.
Okay. But you did not charge him with evading detention, correct?
That is correct.
And you did not charge him with any kind of intoxication offense, correct?
That is correct.
And I believe you testified that the paraphernalia belonged to the mother. Is that correct?
Who testified that the paraphernalia?
Earlier, correct me if I'm wrong, but earlier you testified that Mr. Bull's claim was that all the paraphernalia belonged to his wife, Ashley Bull. Is that correct?
I don't remember that. I remember he said that he was destroying the whatever drugs or paraphernalia that she had.
Okay.
But
And
the pipe was in his pocket. The both of them were in his possession.
okay. And you said the pipes you found in his possession were used, correct?
Yes, sir. They appeared to be used. Yes.
Okay. But you don't know who actually used the pipe to ingest or smoke, correct?
I was not present when they were used. No.
And you also testified that in the vehicle you found some more paraphernalia and some pills, correct?
That's correct. Or,
And-
yeah, pills.
And Mr. Bull was not charged with possession of any of those pills. Is that correct?
No, that because they were over the counter. I looked them up later, and they were over the counter drugs. So,
Okay, so they were legal to possess.
yes.
Okay. All right, I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Paul?
Officer, and when dad took off running and left the child alone, as you, how long was the child?
Ms. Paul, your internet is breaking.
About now, is that better?
No.
Let me walk somewhere else, maybe, if that helps.
Are you close to your router?
Yes, I'm a little bit closer now. Is that better?
A little bit.
Let's try turning off my video. How about now? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Chang, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
At the time when Mr. Bull took off running and left the child alone, as you previously testified, approximately how long was the child left alone?
I do not remember. I do remember the child ran up to us. I don't remember how close he got to us, though, but if you have the video, you can see that.
Okay. And was the location where the child was left alone in the yard, on a sidewalk, close to a street? Do you recall?
I believe he was at the sidewalk, but when I reviewed initially when I watched the video, when I was doing my arrest report, you could see the child running in the street and over around the corner.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, and is the officer released?
Released.
I have just a moment to confer with my client before we release him. Briefly, Your Honor. Officer Chang, did you observe any other paraphernalia outside or behind the vehicle?
No, I didn't look.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
Is the officer released?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for being here. You're free to go. Be safe. I need to
You too. Thank you.
thank you. I need to pause 1 second. There was a Matt, M-A-T-T, that popped into the waiting room. He waited for a while and no, it's no longer there. Now we have, and it's HABECKER that has popped into the waiting room. I don't know who that individual is. So I was just letting you all know in case you have witnesses that are going to be coming throughout the day. All right, so I want to get this other officer on and off, and then we'll take our first stretch, run to the restroom, break. Does that work with everybody? Okay.
Yes.
So Layla, Officer Wright, please. Okay, you may proceed, Ms. Reichert.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Wright, will you please state your name for the record?
Charles Wright.
And you are with Plano Police Department, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you, during your employment with Plano Police Department, come into contact with Raymond and or Ashley Bull?
Yes.
And approximately how many times have you been, have you made contact with them as part of your employment?
I would at least half a dozen. Some are not documented, just responding to calls. That would be a guess. But I do know that I have reported, taken two different reports, 2 different times, but also in an informal or as a backup role. An estimation would be half a dozen.
And with respect to the reports that you actually wrote with respect to the family, was one of those in November of 2018?
Yes.
And what was the nature of that incident, or why was the police department involved at that point?
Earlier in the day, at approximately 12:30 in the afternoon, myself and Officer Hutton responded to the location, 3005 Deep Valley, in reference to a disturbance that had been reported by Mr. Bull. I was in a backup role at that time. Officer Hutton took the report, which indicated that it was an assault family violence. And then later in that same day, I received a request from dispatch to contact Ashley Bull by telephone.
And you mentioned an assault family violence. Who was reported to be assaulting who?
Mr. Bull had made the report that he had been assaulted by Mrs. Bull.
And whenever you responded, did you notice any injuries to Mr. Bull?
I don't recall. I know what the report says. It was provided by the the reporting officer. I don't recall the incident personally.
And do you recall if there were children present for this incident or when police responded?
I do not.
You mentioned there was another report that you that you wrote with respect to the family. When was that?
April 16th, 2019.
And what was the nature of that call?
It came out as a civil standby, and I believe it had something to do with the residence that they were living in, which include Mr. Bull was present along with 2 other men who indicated that they were an employer of Mr. Bull, and another was a property management overseer or foreman for a certain construction company that was in charge of the residence being remodeled.
And why was the civil standby requested? Why was police involvement needed for that that day?
I don't actually recall. The outcome of the report ended up being something different than a civil call. I don't remember exactly what the nature of the primary call for us to be there. And it's not noted in my report. I do know what the outcome of our response was, however.
And you indicated that the situation changed somewhat. What exactly happened, or what was it that was significant about your contact that day, or that stands out to you?
Well, while on scene, I was advised by Mr. Bull and the other 2 men that were present that there was some unidentified pills and possible drug paraphernalia located inside of a wooden box inside the home. And the other gentleman, along with Mr. Bull, requested that I take a look at it and determine whether or not they were illicit drugs or whatever. And the outcome is that I collected the pills. I did my best to identify them, and then they were booked into evidence and booked for destruction.
I will pass the witness.
Solomon?
With regard to the call in November of 2018, did you speak with Ashley Bull that day?
I did.
And what investigation did you do into the purpose of the call, which was domestic disturbance?
I spoke to her by telephone, which was by her request, and she just wished to pass along that she was not involved in assaulting Mr. Bull. That she also stated that she had been locked outside of the house all night. And then when she finally came inside, she said that she was mad, she was angry. However, she denied having assaulted Mr. Bull. And she also stated that the reason that she wanted phone contact and not the reason that she left the area earlier that day was because the previous time that police had responded, she was arrested. Therefore, she did not want to be at the residence.
Did she ever report that she was afraid of Mr. Bull?
I don't have personal knowledge of that, no.
And since she stated she was locked out and slept outside all night, did anyone from the Plano Police Department, to your knowledge, provide her with any resources of a shelter or somewhere where she may be able to go?
That I do not know. Like I said, I only spoke to her on the telephone, and I don't remember her location being divulged.
I'll pass the witness.
Officer, on the November of 2018 call, was there an offense report generated from that?
Officer Hutton did, I believe so, yes.
Was anybody arrested?
Not at that time. If there was anything that it would have been an at-large, or it would have gone to warrant, and I don't know what the outcome of it was.
Okay, so if somebody had a warrant issued, you would not know. Is that correct?
I do not know in this instance, no.
Okay, let's skip ahead to the call from April of 2019. Did you review the report that you wrote at that time?
Yes.
Okay, so is your memory refreshed?
Yes.
Okay, so at that time you met with Mr. Bull, correct?
Yes.
And there were two other people, one of whom was the manager of the house, because it was a rent house, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any reason to believe that the family was squatting in that residence?
There was indications, I know from previous calls. The house had long been under construction or reconstruction, remodeling. And I know that Mr. Bull and Mrs. Bull were living there with their children in some aspect. And just know that we had been there numerous times, and the house seemingly was very slow in, actually being remodeled. And
so if I could summarize, and correct me if I'm saying anything incorrectly, but the Bulls were living in the house while they remodeled the house. Is that correct?
yes, that by all indications, yes.
Okay. So Mr. Bull and his two friends gave you some drug paraphernalia that belonged to Mrs. Bull. Is that correct?
I don't know who it belonged to. I just know that they wanted to turn it over.
Okay. And so you took possession of that. Was anybody charged with possession of drug paraphernalia?
No.
Okay. And you found some pills also. Was anybody charged with illegal possession of the pills?
No, they were booked for destruction.
Okay. I will pass the witness.
Ms. Paul?
Officer Wright, were the children present during the April 2019 incident?
No. I do know that while I was on scene at that call, we had another officer received a call to a different location, which was down at the end of the street. They indicated that one child had spent the night at that location and had been taken to school by this neighbor. And the other officer also indicated that the other child, which I believe would be the son, was at the location and being cared for. However, the mother or father were not there. The father was down the street at the residence at 3005 Deep Valley.
Okay, so you did not see the children on that date?
I personally did not know.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Any other questions of Officer Wright?
Briefly, Your Honor. So, Officer, did you have any concerns? I'm sorry, we're talking about the April of 2019 call. At that particular time, did you have any concerns about the welfare of the children based on your observations at the time?
Like I said, I did not observe the children. Another officer handled that call. I noted it in my report that the children were being taken care of, even though it was by a neighbor.
I'll pass the witness.
Any other questions of Officer Wright?
Just a couple more, Your Honor. Officer Wright, did Ashley Bull indicate to you who had locked her out of the home, which resulted in her having to spend the night outside?
Yeah, she indicated that it was Mr. Bull.
And you had indicated there were other calls that you made or assisted with regarding this family. Do you recall the nature of those calls, or what was involved in them? Domestic violence, drugs, anything like that?
Best of my recollection, they usually were disturbance calls or domestic type situations. And a lot of that, some of those calls too, is just having knowledge of the address. Maybe I didn't respond to them all, but did know that there was a history at this address. And when the call would come out, no matter who responded, it was just an address that you recognized.
I'll pass the witness.
Other questions?
Yes, Your Honor. To your knowledge, during any of these calls, were any resources provided to the family?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I'll pass the witness.
Any other questions? Is Officer Wright released? No objection? Okay,
I think
thank you.
Mr. Ledbetter's trying to speak, but he's on mute, Your Honor.
Sorry, Judge. Can we confer with Mr. Bull briefly before we release the witness, please?
I thought you did that a minute ago.
I don't believe we did for this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, I could have sworn we did, but all right. Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, while we're waiting on them to confer, there are other people that have popped into the waiting room. So there's a T. Perry, a Brian Alcorn, and an Officer Moyer. In addition to the H.A. Becker.
Paul Becker.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was the last
All
name.
my witnesses, Your Honor, they are officers. I had told them to join at about 10:15.
Okay, so when we finish with Officer, I didn't realize we had a whole nother slew of officers. So when we finish with Officer Wright, I'll give y'all the break, but I'll let the other officers know that we're taking a 5-minute break and we'll be ready for them. All right, Mr. Ledbetter, any other questions of Officer Wright?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Officer Wright, you are free to go. Thank you for being here this morning, and be safe.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Layla, we'll admit everybody that's in the waiting room so they know that we're going on break. They're not with us. All right, so good morning to everyone. We just finished our first round of officers. I was trying to get the officers on the witness stand and off because I know y'all have more to do than to sit and wait on us and all day. I did not realize we had another group of officers. I promised the attorneys that I would give more frequent breaks since we're on Zoom. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. So if anybody needs to run down the hall or refresh your coffee, get you some water, stretch break, we're going to take a 5-minute break and then pick back up. So I just wanted to let the witnesses know. Ms. Reichert, who's going to be the next witness so the officers know what order they're going in?
Your Honor, my order will be Sergeant Alcorn, then Officer Moyer, then Officer Hawbecker, and then Officer Perry.
Okay. Okay, so let's pick back up. It's 10:23. If I give everybody till 10:30, is that enough time to talk to witnesses, take care of personal matters? Is that good? 10:30?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll pick back up at 10:30 with our officers, our second round of officers.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right. Latresta, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Since your screen is dark, I want to double check. I don't want us to start talking and you're not back yet. Thank you. Okay, so let me make sure I have all of my. Okay, need to swear in the sergeant. All right, we are back on the record. Well, no, we're not. I'm missing Dad. Still, we're missing Dad. We're ready to start.
I just checked the hall. I don't see him. I will send him a text.
Okay, it's 10:31, so I'm going to get started. All right, Sergeant, if you would raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you may lower your hand. Mom, are you still with us? Mrs. Bull? Hello, Miss Bull, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, since
Yes,
I can't
ma'am.
see you, thank you. Since I can't see you, I wanted just to make sure you were there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Dad is not present. We took a 7-minute break. It is now 10:31. Announced we will be starting back at 10:30. Ms. Steele is trying to notify her client. I've sworn in Sergeant Alcorn, and we will continue with testimony, Ms. Reichert.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Alcorn, will you please state your name for the record?
Brian Alcorn.
And how are you employed?
I'm a sergeant with the Richardson Police Department.
And how long have you been with Richardson Police Department?
14 years.
And did you respond to or happen to interact with someone by the name of Ashley Bull on or about June 14th of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the nature of the call or what you got called out to?
Myself and another sergeant were out there checking the general area for some homeless people that we had. We had some increases in burglary offenses around the area, and we had some information that it was possibly related to homeless folks. And so we were out in that general area and came into contact with Ms. Bull and another gentleman she was with underneath one of the bridges.
And you mentioned there in an area. What area are you referring to?
It's up in the north part of our city. It was 3500 Ruth Creek Parkway, and it's an area around where the DART rail runs through.
Is that kind of over by the City Line area?
Yes, ma'am.
Where the State Farm building is that correct?
Yes.
And you indicated you had come into contact with Ashley Bull and another male. Do you recall the name of the male that you came into contact with?
Give me 1 second. There's 2 reports I have pulled up. It was a gentleman by the name of Travis Washer.
And what was, whenever you encountered Ashley Bull, what was, how did that contact
go? She was somewhat cooperative when we contacted her. She allowed us to search through some of the stuff that she had there. I think a bag and a backpack, and the same with the gentleman. They were somewhat cooperative. And a matter of procedure, we checked both of them on basically the computer to see if they had any warrants and what their criminal history was, just because we wanted to know who we were dealing with in that area, if they were potential burglars or just people that happened to be there.
And you had mentioned that there were some complaints regarding people who were homeless or transient. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Ms. Bull indicate if she was homeless?
Her and the other gentleman both said that they were homeless.
With respect to Ashley Bull, did you end up arresting her for anything?
I did. Actually, Sergeant Corley did.
I'm sorry, there was a little back there. What did you say?
I'm sorry. Actually, Sergeant Corley did. We were both there together, but he had confirmed that she had a warrant out of Collin County, and that gave us basically the authority to arrest her.
And did you search Miss Bull after she was arrested?
I did.
And did you find anything of note on Miss Bull?
I didn't, because she was a female and we didn't have a female there. It was somewhat of a cursory search. So I asked her if she had anything illegal on her person.
Did you notice anything of concern about Miss Bull's behavior whenever you were interacting with her for this call?
Not at first, until after she was placed under arrest.
And what was it about her behavior once she was placed under arrest that was of note to you?
Pretty belligerent, a lot of cursing, a lot of stating that, you know, we didn't need to do this to her, and basically that it was our fault that she was going to jail, and some of those type of things. A complete different attitude than she had prior to being placed under arrest.
And you indicated that someone else had searched her, but was anything located on her?
Yes, she actually, I asked if she had anything illegal on her person, and she claimed that she had a pack of cigarettes that she wanted to give to the other guy that she was with. So I asked her where those were at, and she stated they were in her panties. Normally we wouldn't let a suspect reach down inside their waistband to get something, but we made a decision based on her cooperativeness at the time to let her reach down inside her own underwear while she was handcuffed and grab that. When she did, she pulled it out and just kind of flip tossed it to the guy that she was with, the cigarette pack.
So, and was that of concern to you that she didn't hand it to you to give to the guy, that she just threw it?
It was just as a matter of safety, and I guess to protect the other guy too. I didn't know what's in that cigarette pack, so I don't want her giving something to someone that could be responsible for whatever's in it. And then as a matter of procedure, we typically, any property anybody has, we search that prior to it going with them or them going to jail.
And so did you search what pack that she threw on the ground?
I did.
And what did you locate in there?
There was a folded up $10 bill in there. That was it. There were no cigarettes in there. But when I carefully unfolded it, I've been around for a little while as an officer, so I know that with working different narcotic stuff, sometimes people keep cocaine or methamphetamine or different things wrapped up inside a bill. So I kind of carefully unfolded that. And when I did, there were several like black type crystals that subsequently tested positive for methamphetamine.
And approximately, do you recall what the amount of methamphetamine was that was found?
I don't remember. It's probably going to be under 1 gram if I had to guess. It's, let me look at it. It was estimated weight of 0.15 grams, and then a total weight, which included basically the bill that it was in, of 3.9 grams. So under 1 gram.
Okay. And do you recall if Ms. Bull made any statements regarding what was located in that bill?
I do. If I can just refresh my memory real quick on my report. She stated that she didn't know what was inside the $10 bill because someone had just given her the money for cigarettes.
And she was arrested for possession of the methamphetamine, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So what led you to determine that what she was telling you was not accurate, that she was in fact in possession of the methamphetamine?
Well, number one, she had obviously the bill folded up inside the cigarette pack down, inside her panties. So obviously she's in possession of it, but it also led me to believe, based on the behavior where she had pulled it out and kind of quickly, like I described, flip tossed it to the other guy and wanted him to keep it. I felt like she was being evasive and trying to hide that and get caught with it.
And Sergeant Alcorn, are you aware of what the outcome was of this arrest for possession of a controlled substance? Are you aware if Ms. Bull's been convicted of that charge?
Yes, ma'am. She has been convicted. She pled on, it looks like June 14th, and the disposition was guilty.
I will pass the witness.
Solomon?
Yes, Your Honor. So just to get this correct, this incident occurred June 14th of 2019, correct?
Is that question for me or the judge, ma'am?
Oh, that's for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually read that wrong. That was the date of the offense, was June 14th of 2019. That's not the pleading guilty. I don't know that date. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
No questions, Your Honor.
No questions for this witness.
All right, is the officer reserved or released?
Released.
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 Thank you for being here. You're free to go. And okay, take care.
Thank you all. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
I think next, Ms. Reichert indicated Officer Moyer.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Officer Moyer, if you will raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
You may lower your hand, and Ms. Reichert, you may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Moyer, will you full name for the record?
It's Jessica Annette Moyer.
And how are you employed?
I am a police officer with McKinney Police Department.
And how long have you been with McKinney Police Department?
Since June 6th of 2018.
And did you happen to come in contact with an individual by the name of Raymond Bull, as well as a woman by the name of Sophia Guerrero on or about November 7th of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were not leading that call, is that correct?
Correct. I was a backup officer.
And what was the nature of the call, or what was the nature of the call you were assisting with?
I believe the initial contact was due to a traffic stop.
And were Mr. Bull and Ms. Guerrero together?
They were in the vehicle, yes. Well, Mr. Bull was pulled out at the moment, but she was in the vehicle.
And why were you called to assist? What was the need for you to be there to assist?
Because Sergeant Woody was going to pull both of them out, search the vehicle, and go forth with an investigation.
And why was there an investigation? Do you recall? Why was he pulling them out of the vehicle?
Well, I don't know the exact reason. I don't recall the exact reason as to why he was pulled out. I do know that there was a weapon that appeared to be a pistol. And there was also a knife that was seen in the vehicle, which is why they were both pulled out.
And do you recall if Mr. Bull ended up being arrested for warrants or for some reason as a result of this traffic stop?
Mr. Bull was taken in due to warrants, yes.
And did you happen to search Ms. Guerrero, his companion, who was with him?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did you locate anything on Ms. Guerrero? Was Ms. Guerrero also arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was Ms. Guerrero arrested for?
For possession of drug paraphernalia.
And what drug, were you the one who found that drug paraphernalia?
So I'm the one that patted her down. When I patted her down, I could feel some type of hardened bulge in her lower area. She claimed that it was a pad due to being a female. I knew that it was not a pad. It was actually a harder substance. At the time, she would not admit to me what it was, but I'm not sure if she admitted to Sergeant Woody during an investigation or not. I was the officer that transported her to the jail and was in the restroom whenever the jail staff did a strip search in which the 2 pipes were found in her underwear.
And you indicated that 2 pipes were found on her, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what, can you describe what the pipes look like or what they appeared to be?
They were a clear glass substance that looked like a clear glass substance that they used to either smoke meth out of, weed out of, marijuana. That's what they appeared.
And you indicated there were not just one, but two on her. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were these, the pipes, what kind of condition were they in? Were they clean?
They did not appear to be clean. No, ma'am. I did not take the meth pipes. The jail staff took the pipes, but I visibly saw them whenever they came out of her underwear, and they did not appear. They looked kind of like they had a smoky, darker color within them. They looked like they had some residue in them, but they were definitely not clean and unused.
And based on your training and experience, what type of drugs would have been used to smoke in these pipes?
Typically, they would either smoke methamphetamines or marijuana.
I will pass the witness.
Solomon?
No questions.
And Mr. Ledbetter?
Thank you, Judge. Officer Moyer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just for you. So you found these pipes on Miss Guerrero, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you did not find any contraband on Mr. Bull, correct?
I did not search him.
Okay, did you transport him to the jail or did somebody else?
No, sir. I transported Miss Guerrero.
Okay, and Mr. Bull was arrested for warrants, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And actually his warrants were for a misdemeanor dumping violation, correct?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Did you or Sergeant Woodruff perform any type of intoxication investigation as a part of this incident?
I did not perform any type of investigation. I am not sure if Sergeant Woodruff did. I would imagine he did.
Okay, but that's strictly a guess on your part, correct?
Yes, sir, because I wasn't around him the entire time.
Okay. I will pass the, I'm sorry, Judge, one last question. You said there was a weapon in the vehicle, is that correct?
There was what appeared to be a weapon, yes, sir.
And that actually turned out to be a BB gun, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Is this officer reserved or released?
Released.
Judge, can we have just a moment to confer with Mr. Bull, please?
Yes.
Judge, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Thank you for being here, Officer Moyer. We appreciate your time. You are free to go. So have a good day and be safe.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Next on the list that I receive is Habecker. Is it Habecker or Habecker?
Habecker.
I didn't get it right either way. Habecker. Thank you. Okay. Officer Habecker has been called. Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Oh, you're on mute.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I already administered the oath. We just needed your response on the record.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Reichert.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Hallbecker, will you please state your full name for the record?
Matthew Davis Hallbecker.
And you are employed by Garland Police Department, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long have you been with Garland Police?
Since I think it was January 2016.
And did you happen to encounter an individual by the name of Raymond Bull on or about December 3rd of 2019?
Yes, I did.
And what was the nature of the call you got that led you to interaction with Mr. Bull?
I was dispatched a call in a Home Depot parking lot in reference to a suspicious vehicle.
Whenever you arrived, what did you observe when you arrived?
When I arrived, I observed Raymond Bull. He was outside his vehicle. He had some tools, and I spoke with him. He stated his vehicle was broken down in the parking lot. So that's what, initially when I arrived, that's what I saw.
Did you happen to do just look at the vehicle or look inside the vehicle while you were responding?
Yes.
And was there anything that was of concern that you just saw in plain view there in the vehicle?
Another officer, he arrived first. He actually saw a butane torch. That raised suspicion that he could possibly have narcotics inside the vehicle or on his person.
And based on your training and experience, does the butane torch, is that frequently associated with narcotics?
Yes.
Was Mr. Bull asked if there was anything else in the vehicle that would be?
I'm sorry, your question, anything else that in the vehicle that would be?
Was Mr. Bull asked if there was anything else in the vehicle that would be of concern to the officers?
Yes, he was asked that.
And did you request or did someone request consent to search Mr. Bull's vehicle?
Yes, another officer was on scene. He requested consent, and Raymond Bull then gave us consent to search his vehicle. So then I began to search his vehicle, and that's when we found methamphetamine.
And can you give me a detailed idea of what it was you located in the vehicle and where it was? What's the first thing you came across?
First thing I came across a child car seat that was on the front passenger seat of the vehicle. And tucked behind the padding of the seat, there was a small baggie with a crystal substance inside of it, which I suspected to be methamphetamine.
Did you conduct any type of test on the substance that was inside of the baggie?
Yes, I did at the Garland Police Station. We did a field kit test on the substance, which showed a positive result for methamphetamine.
And you indicated this was located in a child car seat, is that correct?
Behind the padding of the car seat.
Approximately, if a child was sitting in the car seat, approximately where in the padding would this have been located?
To the back of the padding, where you would place the seat belt through the padding.
And can you tell me, with respect to this child car seat, are you familiar with the different types of child car seats?
Yes.
Infant versus toddler versus booster. What type of seat exactly was this seat?
That I can't exactly recall, but it's still a child seat. I mean, from what I can remember, there was a lot of different objects inside the vehicle. There's a lot of tools. There was a lot of clothing. Just a whole bunch of random stuff inside the vehicle. So I can't completely recall exactly what type of car seat it was, but still, with finding methamphetamine in the car seat, tucked behind the padding, and that raised some concern. So. And
just this car seat, it had a back on it. It's not a backless car seat. Is that correct?
I can't recall which.
And you mentioned there was a seatbelt attached, though. Is that correct?
The style car seat is where a seatbelt would have to be used to secure it to a seat.
Was anything else located other than the baggie that contained the substance believed to be methamphetamine?
I believe a glass bulb with burnt narcotic residue was also located.
And where was that at?
I'll have to refer back to my report for that, but that was that was found in a backpack on the bed of the truck.
And did Mr. Bull indicate if anyone else was there with him?
He did mention a lady by the name of Sophia.
Did you happen to have any interaction with Sophia whenever you responded to this call?
No, I did not. Not at that time.
And was there anything else that was concerning to you regarding Mr. Bull's behavior or the things that he had with him that would be of concern to you based on your training and experience in law enforcement?
We've had a lot of thefts at Home Depot. He had a two-way radio on him. It was turned in the on position. He stated that he used it for work. I thought that was odd because the two-way radio was on. He was not at work. It's not a type of radio that it would hold a long charge. So I knew there was possibly someone else with the radio. And most thefts and stuff, shoplifting, I think he was acting as a good eye in the parking lot. And Sophia might have been inside Home Depot, or she had already left the location because she saw that police were out with him.
And was Mr. Bull arrested as a result of your interactions with him that day?
Yes, ma'am.
What was he arrested for?
We placed him on arrest for possession of drug paraphernalia, and then after the methamphetamine was tested positive for meth, he was then charged with possession of methamphetamine.
And approximately, do you recall how much, what the weight was of the methamphetamine?
There was 0.2 grams, which was found inside the car seat, inside a small clear Ziploc bag.
And are you aware of any outcome with respect to the possession of controlled substance charge for Mr. Bull?
No, I currently am not.
I will pass the witness.
No questions, Your Honor.
Officer, sorry, Judge, is it okay to proceed?
Sure.
Officer, did you get a chance to review your offense report before your testimony?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and are the events recorded in your report pretty much in chronological order?
Yes, they are.
Okay. All right, so you have two people involved in this, Mr. Bull and possibly Sophia Guerrero, correct?
That's correct.
But you never found Sophia, you never spoke with her, correct?
That's correct.
The only person you found at the scene was Mr. Bull, correct?
That's correct.
Are you aware that he actually works in construction?
I was not aware of that.
Okay. If he works in construction, would you agree that being at Home Depot would be a normal part of his job?
That could be a normal part of your job. Yep.
Okay. Would you also agree that there are many legitimate uses for butane torches?
There could be other uses. Yep.
And that could be plumbing, soldering, brazing, that sort of thing?
Yep.
And so would you agree that somebody in construction could be in legitimate possession of a butane torch?
Yes, definitely.
Now, I believe you initially testified that first you found the baggie in the car seat, then you found the pipe in the backpack, correct?
Yeah, I have to review my report, but the butane torch, I'd have to review this. There were several other officers on the scene.
Okay. Well, it's your report. Would you go ahead and refresh your memory as to the order of events, please?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So did that help to refresh your memory?
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, the first thing you found was the pipe, correct?
First thing that was seen was the torch lighter, which was by MPO Officer Barnes.
Okay. My apology. I'm talking about the actual contraband.
Okay.
So you found the pipe before you found the meth, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And where did you find the pipe?
That was in a compartment on a backpack located, let me see, inside the bed of the pickup truck.
Okay. And did that backpack contain anything that might tell you who owned it?
No, with that backpack being with the vehicle, and I don't recall anything on the backpack that labeled it, who was the owner.
Okay.
I knew at the time with Raymond being with the vehicle, that backpack, he was still in possession of that.
Okay. So his ownership of the backpack and the pipe is something of a presumption on your part because he was with the vehicle, correct?
Definitely.
Okay. So after you found the pipe, then you found the.
Can you pause 1 second, Mr. Ledbetter? I note on the record that your client just walked out of the courtroom. So I'm going to assume that he's choosing to be absent from this part of the trial. Do you wish to continue?
Yes, Your Honor, I can go ahead and continue.
Okay, you may proceed. Oh, he's returning now. Let me inquire if you don't mind. Mr. Bull?
I believe he's on mute. Your Honor, for the record, he was coming in here to try to give me some information.
Okay, is my bailiff not available? Okay, so Brian is right there. So, Mr. Bull, I don't want you to miss any of the testimony since your lawyers are conferring with you before they pass the witness. So it's important that you're able to hear the testimony. So my bailiff is in the courtroom. If you need him to get Miss Steele to come in, he can call her or step into the side room to get her for you. So you're not having to miss any of the testimony, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Also, I don't feel well today.
I'm sorry?
I don't feel well either.
You're not feeling well?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Do you need him to get you the trash can?
He's getting it, ma'am.
Okay. And then do you know where the nearest restroom is? Just outside?
I do.
Okay. So if you need to, if I see you leave the courtroom, I'll notify your attorney so we can pause the proceedings to check on you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. You may continue.
Thank you, Judge. Sorry, Judge, I'm trying to get my train of thought back.
Do you want the court reporter to assist you?
Yeah, if the reporter could read the last question that I asked.
Absolutely. Your question, well, you started it. You said, so after you found the pipe, then you found I'll read the question before that. So his ownership of the backpack and the pipe is something of a presumption on your part because he was with the vehicle, correct? And
okay,
his answer was definitely.
Got it. Thank you. Okay. So, officer, after you found the pipe in the backpack, then you found the baggie of meth in the car seat, correct?
That's correct.
And what part of the vehicle did you find the car seat?
It was the front passenger seat.
Okay. Did you know who owned the car seat?
No, I did not know that at the time. No, not
Okay.
at all.
And was there a presumption on your part that Mr. Bull's vehicle, therefore he probably owned the seat and the contents?
Yes.
And were there any children present to your knowledge?
No.
Okay. Do you have any reason to believe Miss Guerrero had children with her at this time?
I did not have any reason to believe that.
Okay.
There's
Now, when you took the contraband to the police department, you put in evidence, correct?
That is correct.
And your report indicates that the weight of the meth was less than 0.1 grams, correct?
There was also meth that was found inside the glass bulb.
Okay, so that's actually a
Point
total.
2, and in the yeah, there was amount that came off of the meth pipe that was 0.2, and then in the package was 0.1 grams.
Okay, and actually your scale doesn't measure out to more than tenths of grams, correct?
That is correct.
So it could be quite a bit less than 0.1.
But there was a usable amount that was there.
Okay. And is what you got out of the pipe, was that residue that had already been burned, or was it unburned?
There was some burnt residue, and there was some also leftover residue that was not burnt.
Okay. Do you know if this case has even been indicted yet?
I do not know.
Okay. I will pass the witness.
Oh,
Officer, you said that there were no children present that you saw, but did Mr. Bull indicate to you at any time who the car seat was intended for or who used the car seat?
I don't believe he ever did mention anything about that in that nature.
But do you recall that it was strapped into the seatbelt or not?
I don't recall if it was or not.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
I believe Mr. Bull is conferring with his attorney right now, so I'll wait to see if there are additional questions. Ms. Steele, I think Mr. Ledbetter is waiting for you.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm sending him a message right now.
Okay, thank you.
A couple of questions, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Officer, could you tell if the bag where you found the pipe was a female or male type bag?
I don't recall. There was a lot of there was a lot of stuff in that vehicle that it took quite a different officers to search that vehicle. So I couldn't tell you what gender that bag was or not. So.
Okay. Was there any identification belonging to anybody in the bag?
I don't remember if there was or not.
Okay. Was there any clothing?
I'm not sure. That's something that I would have to go back and review my body camera, see if there's anything like that of that nature. But,
okay. Did you review your body camera video before your testimony today?
No, I did not.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Is the officer released?
Released.
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 Okay. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate your time. You're free to go and be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we're going to keep moving. If we have an additional officer. Waiting room.
Taylor Perry.
Okay, Officer Perry, thank you. Okay, Officer Perry, it shows is connected. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You're on mute.
I do.
Okay, thank you. You may lower your hand. Ms. Reichert, you may proceed.
Thank you. Officer Perry, will you please state your full name for the record?
Taylor M. Perry.
And how are you employed?
I'm a police officer with the Plano Police Department.
And how long have you been with Plano Police Department?
For approximately 5 years.
And do you have any experience in law enforcement or as a police officer anywhere other than Plano Police Department?
I was also a military police officer in the Marine Corps for approximately 4 years.
And did you happen to respond to an incident on or about March 10th of this year regarding a female by the name of Ashley Bull?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what was the nature of the call you got that you were called to respond to?
I was dispatched to a call of a suspicious person in the area of a Walmart in the beat that I was working in Plano, Texas. A caller, a civilian, had called in stating that somebody was behind the Walmart with what appeared to be some high-dollar power tools, and they believed it to be suspicious.
And whenever you arrived, what did you observe?
When I arrived, I observed there was a dumpster behind the Walmart, and I observed a female that kind of began to skirt around the dumpster as I was pulling up. And as I would turn around the dumpster, I could see that this female was trying to kind of shadow me on the other side of the dumpster as if she's trying to avoid me.
Let me pause 1 second. Remember your question. Brian, I don't see Mr. Bull.
Judge, he stepped out and he went to the right. So I don't know where he went to. He didn't go to the bathroom.
Right, because the restroom would be to the left outside of the courtroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Steele, do you want us to continue or do you want a minute to see if you can locate your client?
Give me just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure. Ms. Reichert, remember your train of thought, your question where you were.
Yes, Your Honor.
And while we're waiting for planning purposes, I have to stop at noon because the Bar Association The district judges have to log on with the attorneys to go over our current operating procedures at noon. And so I have to stop at noon to hop onto that Zoom.
Judge,
Yes?
he did go to the bathroom. He got turned around, so he's back in here now.
Okay, thank you, Brian, for your help. Okay, so for the record, Mr. Bull is back in the courtroom. Ms. Riker will pick back up with her questioning of Officer Perry.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Officer Perry, you indicated that you encountered a female who was kind of trying to avoid you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you recognize this female?
I recognized she looked familiar to me. I couldn't place exactly who she was, but she did look familiar.
And did you end up stopping her or asking her to stop?
I did.
And what did she say anything to you whenever you asked her to stop?
So when I got out of my patrol vehicle, I began to approach the dumpster, which was the last place that I saw her. The caller was also standing in the area, and he pointed to the dumpster, indicating that that was the person that he had called about. When I approached the dumpster, I contacted Miss Bull. I asked her if she was trying to avoid me, and she indicated that yes, she was trying to avoid me because I was a police officer.
And did you notice a shopping cart with her?
I did. I noticed two shopping carts. One was an empty Home Depot shopping cart that was a short distance away from the dumpster. And there was also a shopping cart behind the dumpster that was full of items.
And the items that were in the second shopping cart, what type of items were those?
They were mainly power tools, still sealed in the box.
And